All right, my little art friends, today we're going to take a tutorial and look at brushes. I'm going to show you 3 different types of brushes. 1, brushes that come with Photoshop. 2, brushes you can make on your own. And 3, brushes that you can steal from other people. So without further ado, let's take a look at the brushes. Right here in Photoshop is your brush tool. And when you click on that, you got your brush, you got your pencil. So we'll just start with those. I'm just going to start with my brush tool right there. Basic brushes are all located up here. If I click on this little arrow right there, you can see that my brushes are here, listed here. I'm going to scroll that up. And they're all in little folders. So you get your general brush, your dry medium brush, your wet medium brushes. Actually, I'm going to drag this down a little bit so we can see it a little better. And I'm going to click on the general brush. And you can just see there's some brushes in there. And they work just like brushes. Nothing really too exciting going on with those. All your attributes are here. For example, if I wanted the opacity a little lower, I can lower it, and my brush is going to have a little less opacity. I can raise it and get a little bit more. So you can play with these things along here on your brushes. Now, your basic general brushes are kind of boring, but your wet medium brushes are a little bit more exciting. So let's say I click on one of those, just to show you. Look at this and how it blends. It kind of blends like wet. That's a nice brush. And there's a couple of other ones down here that do similar things. So you can actually have a lot of fun playing with these brushes that come with the preset. Rawr. That's fun. Play around with these. Take a look at them. Play around with them. One more set that I like is the special effects brushes. When you click on those, there's a kind of cool brushes in here that do some really kind of neat things. Like this one right here. It's just really nice special effects stuff. So definitely play around with those little brushes in there. A little different, like patterns. And I'm making a nice little piece of artwork right here. I think I'm going to save that and give it to my mom for Christmas. So that's basically your brushes that are preset brushes. Right there, I'm going to leave that there for a minute. And I'm going to show you the next step. All right. Next, step 2. Let's say you want to make a brush. I just happen to have a flower picture that I stole off the internet, right there. And I'm going to make that into a brush. So it's pretty simple. The first thing you need to do is you need to get rid of the background. And because it's on a background layer already, I can't take that background off because it'll just turn white again because it's my background color. So my first step is I need to double click on the layer and change it into a layer. Now it says layer 0, doesn't say background, and I can delete that background. Easy enough to do. I grab a magic wand tool. I click on the white, I hit backspace on my keyboard, Control D on my keyboard to get rid of my selection, and you can see I've got a flower with a transparent background. I'm basically almost done at this point. All I need to do is turn it into a brush. So how do I do that? I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to go down here where it says Define Brush Preset, and I'm going to click Define Brush Preset. And it's going to ask me to name my flower, and I'm going to name this one Flower 3, because I've made 2 of them already. Click OK, and right now that flower is a brush. If I come over here and I click, you can see my brush. I'm just clicking one time each time, because if I was to click and hold the mouse, it would actually do that. You can change the size of it, just like any other brush. You can change the color of it, just like any other brush. And the opacity and everything else. Now, let me show you something that's really neat. I don't need that flower anymore, so I'm going to close that. If you go to your Windows palette and you open up your brush settings, there's a lot of neat things you can do with all your brushes. Oops, I just closed it, silly me. In your brush settings, right there. For example, shape dynamic. If I turn and I pull the size jitter up, what you're going to know is if you look down here, you're going to see it changing. And what it's doing is it's saying here all my flowers are the same size. So every time I click it, it gets to be the same size. But if I pull up my size jitter, every time I click it, I'm going to have a different size flower. Sometimes they're going to be little, sometimes they're going to be big. See, I'm not doing that, it's just doing it automatically. If I pull across, it still kind of looks like the same thing though. So that's problematic. How do I separate those? Well, check this out, scattering. If I click scattering and I raise the scattering up, look what happens down here in the box. The flowers separate. And the more I go, the more separation there is. So I can still click individually, but if I click and I drag, check out what happens. Let me just try that little white on top of there. change the color. Let's add like maybe a blue set of, so you get a really nice thing. Now there's a lot of things you can do in here. You can change color dynamic, so you can have a foreground and a background mixture with your flowers. You can have dual brushes, where you can actually have two brushes going at the same time, which is kind of very interesting. So play around with these brush settings, make a brush, play around with these brush settings, and see what you think about that. All right, so there we made a brush. We played with brushes, we made a brush. Last thing to do is steal a brush. So let's steal a brush. If you go out onto the internet, step 3, brush easy, B-R-U-S-H-E-E-Z-Y, brush easy. And I just go to the home page. You can download brushes right from here. There's a bunch of them right on the front page. You can go and you can check out if you want to use any of these text effects, different brushes, you can just click and download them. Or if you want to find a specific brush, like for example, I do like glow brushes. So I'm going to search for glow brushes. And I'm going to look on here and I'm going to check brushes for my file type, so only brushes come up. I don't need all these other things going on right now. And now look at all these different brushes I could get. That's a pretty nice one. You can just click on it and it'll have a little download. You click on the download button and it'll put it right in your downloads folder. Now here's the thing, when you put it into your downloads folder, let's go take a peek there. Here it is, the downloads folder. You see right there? It's a zip file. You can't get the brushes out of it. You need to unzip that first. So how do you do that? I can right click. I don't know if any of this stuff is going to work at school. Who knows? I'm on my home computer. But if I right click, I can hit extract all. And I can just hit extract. And then you'll see it's doing its thing. And when it's done, I've got a folder and it shows me the brushes right there. Valentine Glow Hearts brushes. Sounds exciting. So I'm going to go back into Photoshop. I'm ready to use my Valentine's Glow brushes. So how do I do that? This is a little tricky. It's kind of in a weird spot. Click on the brush. Once you've got the brush, you come up to the top and there's this little arrow there and you click on that to open up your brushes again. Then you look over here and there's a little gear with a little arrow pointing down, and when you click on that, there's where you can find import brushes. So it's kind of tricky to find, but look around for it. I click import brushes. I go to my download folder. I look in my Valentine Glow brush folder, and there they are. I click on them, and lo and behold, somewhere in here are my Valentine Glow Heart brushes. Let's see what we got. Click on it, open it up, stretch it down a little bit. Ooh, I'm going to try one out. Wow, it's really big. Let's drop that size down a little bit. Crazy. All right, that's a little. Wow. Ooh, oh, get bigger. It jumps really big from like 500 to 1,000 really quick. There we go. Wow, that's kind of neat. Now that's not really that neat. You know what would make that neater? Let's just say we had a black background, right? I'm gonna do it. Make it black. Yeah. Now let's make it more of a neon color. You know, I like that hot pink. And let's see. Pretty fantastic. I could probably play around with that a lot by dropping the opacity down some too and get some back glows. Let's put another one on top of that. How about a white one? All right, so there we go. So that, my friends, is how you can use the brushes that are in the brush set, make your own brush, or use stolen brushes from Brush Easy. Your job today, go play with brushes, make me a brush, steal a brush, play with brushes, make an abstract image, make a crazy image, whatever you want to, make something that shows me you've learned how to do all three of these with the brushes and post it to Seesaw. Until next time, I'm out.